Hi, I'm Dawn Leonard. I'm known as Coco around here, but I serve at the ministry, Operation Lightforce. And today I'd like to tell you a little bit about who we are and who we serve and what we do as a ministry. So the first thing I want to tell you about is our three ministries. We have three main branches: Healing House, Lightforce University, and Freedom Park. Rather than walk you through a dry overview, I thought I would just invite you into our world by sharing real stories of women whose lives have been transformed through your support. The first story I want to tell you about is Christy. Christy was a mother of three young daughters. She fled an abusive marriage at the advice of her Christian counselor. So she had gone in for marriage help, her and her husband, and her husband was abusing her in such a way that the marriage counselors told her to leave him, to get in a place of separation, and that they would keep working with them. But they didn't feel it was safe for her to even stay local. So they recommended that rather than go into hiding at a nearby shelter, that she flee the state and move in with a family member here in Florida nearby. So that is what Christy did. Her three young children, her daughters, went with her. Every day when they would get home, they did not know whether they were going to face a joyful Christian husband and father or whether they were going to get a very, very angry abuser. This left Christy and her children all in a horrible state of fear. And Christy was having overwhelming panic attacks and was very much struggling to parent her children. The fear was crippling her. She, was having trouble keeping up with a job and just really having a hard time. But through your support at Operation Lightforce in our Healing House ministry, she came in, she met with some people here. She received weekly ministry sessions where she was taught how to heal from that trauma, how to gain freedom, how to walk in emotional stability. She began to feel safe and gain peace as Jesus came and ministered to her. Her children also received ministry here. We have a lady who comes in who travels here and does ministry with some of our kids. They also received ministry and got help. This was a few years ago, and today Christy no longer receives ministry. She was actually came and was part of our ministry for a while. She came to our small group. She no longer receives ministry anymore. She is thriving at a church. She has a job. She actually was able to buy her own home, and her children and her are doing absolutely amazing. So that's just one story of somebody at Healing House. Healing House also ministers to people going through everyday parts of life. Maybe you just lost somebody. Maybe you're having problems in your marriage. Or maybe it's something much more traumatic, like a human trafficking survivor that is needing to get out. So many stories, so many faces. And we're just a safe place for people to come to get healing for everyday life things or to overcome past traumas. So that's kind of what Healing House does. I would like to tell you another story. A couple of months ago, I received a phone call from a lady I'll call Maria. Maria called in very desperate. She was crying. She was scared. She was suicidal. But between her crying and talking, she began to tell me her story, and I want to tell you a little bit of that story. So her story with us and our connection actually started a couple of years ago. She was in the Philippines, where she lived, and she was living in a brothel situation as part of a human trafficking ring where she was being used for sex trafficking. She had been picked up as a teenager. And during that trafficking, somebody came in and actually gave her access to the internet. And somehow, some way, she searched to get help out of human trafficking and satanic ritual abuse, and she found us. And she called us. Or looked online for us, and she made an appointment with us to receive online ministry. But before she could actually get to that first appointment, her trafficker found out, and she lost all access to the internet, and she never showed up. So then she told us, as she was talking to me on the phone that day, she was telling me how soon after that, a man came in. He was one of the Johns that came in, and he promised her freedom. He promised that he was going to rescue her. And we don't really know how it happened. My guess is he probably paid off her traffickers. But he somehow got her plane tickets, got her passport she needed, did everything, and he flew her to Alaska. And he put her in a house there, a nice house. He loved her, or so she thought. She fell in love with him, and much better life. She had food, she had nice clothes, she was taken out to restaurants, had some level of freedom, was allowed to use online. Her life had completely changed, but over time, that changed a little. He brought in other men for her to service. Nowhere near what she had done before, where she was servicing men every day, multiple men every day, but he still brought in 2 or 3 other gentlemen that were some type of big spenders that he had brought in that would pay for her services. And so the night she called me, one of those men had beat her up. That wasn't supposed to happen. They were never supposed to lay a finger on her. She was kept as prime property. But they did, and she called very, very much ashamed of her life, suicidal, and desperate for escape from that. I was concerned for her life that night. We had no place for her to live. She wanted us to get her out, to put her in safe housing. We didn't have a place. But I started calling around to other ministries, and I called around to ministries across the United States, and nobody had a bed. We know people in other ministries. We have connections, but they were all full, just like we were. We had, at that time, we had 4 RVs on the property, and all of them already had people living in them, so there was nowhere to put her. I did find one ministry that we are good friends with, and they had a bed, and that was exciting. We started getting that set up, but come to find out, all of their grants come from the government, and the people that they help have to be United States citizens, and because she was from the Philippines, she was not. So at the last minute, they couldn't help her. But God provided a miracle for Maria. We had a past client that lived near there in Alaska, and she actually had Maria meet in a safe place. She went over, she rescued her, she brought her home, and then got Maria set up with safe housing. Maria now receives ministry online through one of our prayer ministers, and she is doing very well. She'll still need a lot more help, and but she's doing good. But I actually didn't tell you Maria's story to tell you more about Healing House and that online ministry or in person. I told you that story because it really shows the need for Freedom Park. Our Freedom Park ministry is a place for women and children to come and find healing, to come and have a safe place to live while they get that healing. Many of these women come out of lives where they've never even been given a decision, allowed to even pick what they're going to eat one day, never even allowed to go to the bathroom when they want to. They've had no freedom in their lives. So expecting them to just go out, get a job, and work and do everything all at one time is very unrealistic. So we provide a safe place. We help them get the job and do all of that. There's another ministry in town called Hope for Her. They provide all that casework while we provide the spiritual healing, emotional healing, and give them that safe place to live. There are so many women like Maria out there. We receive phone calls all the time. Maria is just one, and there's so many like her. We would love for you to become sponsors and help us, help Maria. As this video goes on, we're going to give you some ways you can do that. You can become a volunteer. You can become a prayer warrior, pray for these women, or you can be a sponsor of these women. You can donate money, resources to help us help these women and get them out of these situations. I would like to tell you, we do not have an extraction team that goes in and does the rescue. We help once they're out and they need that safe place to live. But we do have a connection with other people who do that extracting. For those of you who were at our last dinner that was on this property, you saw a video of a young lady named Alyssa, and Alyssa told you her story, and she pleaded with you to help her come here. Well, Alyssa did come here. She stayed here for only a few weeks. She actually shared an RV with me for a few weeks, and we were able to give her some really intense ministry and prayer. And then she went back home because she had a safe place to live, another ministry that was helping her with where to live and having that. And she, to this day, has stayed clean, sober. She's been working on her life. She has been working on custody with her children. She has visitation now. Very soon, she'll have full custody of them. She has a job, and she's actually giving back in ministry. She now teaches at a rehab center and helps other women find the freedom that she did. So she's asked us to update all of you who supported her and to thank you for that support. And so, yeah, that's what she does. And there's just so many more like Alyssa, but thank you for helping her. Of Maria and Alyssa and of Christy, but there are so many more women out there who, many of whom we see online or in person throughout the week, every week, and many more who call in who need safe housing and who we've been unable to help because we just don't have room for them. Just recently we were called to see if a young mom could come and move in. She even had her own RV, but we don't have the electrical to support another RV moving in right at this moment. I had to turn her away. I did reach out to some other places to see if she could get some help, but there's so many out there, and I just really ask you to please, in any way you can help, even $5 or prayer support, or come and volunteer and do some filing for us. We'll give you some more ideas about that later, but really, if you can help, and there's a picture right there on the screen of our site and what we would like to do. So another powerful arm of our ministry is Lightforce University. Our online platform is filled with courses, books, and training videos. So as prayer ministers, we often repeat some of the same guidance to those seeking healing over and over and over again. We say the same things. So we thought, what if we could record those things that we say that in general help very many people, and if they could access that help wherever they are, whenever they need it. And so that's kind of what birthed the vision of the Lightforce University foundation courses. And you can log on those courses and receive healing and freedom through practical spirit-led teaching. You can get guidance to hear God's voice and grow closer to Him. We offer support for survivors of human trafficking, survivors of abuse, or really everybody, the person who grew up in church and just needs some help with everyday struggles. There is something on our online courses who could help you. You could be newly saved, or maybe you've been working with God for many years. These resources will meet you where you are and help you grow deeper in faith, in freedom, in healing, help you have peace and joy in your daily walk. One of the most powerful aspects of Lightforce University is how it equips others to minister to the hurting. I'd like to give you an example. There's a lady named Cindy who was a mature believer, and she met a young single mom named Angela. Well, Angela came from a broken background of abuse in her own home of origin, and she loved Cindy, loved the care that Cindy was giving her, and Cindy wanted to give more care and help Angela find freedom. But she didn't feel qualified, didn't know what to do. So she called us for advice, and so what we recommended was that Cindy download our foundations course, and she did. And then together, Cindy and Angela watched the videos that are on there. They met together, once or twice a week. They watched the videos together. And then whenever Angela felt overwhelmed with the videos and everything, Cindy was right there to pray with her, to listen, to give her a hug, to let her cry on her shoulder, to support her. And so she was able to use our videos to minister to another woman without knowing how. And since then, she's been able to do that another time. And then there's another woman that leads a small group in her home. And she wanted to be able to train those other small group people in her home how to minister to others. So she used the Foundations course. She just gathered them in her home each week, and they would do some online worship, probably through YouTube, I'm pretty sure. And then after that, they would play our Foundations courses, and they went through them step by step, and they learned those courses to learn how to minister to the hurting, to those who are going through things, and to learn how to disciple others so they can find wholeness in Christ and be able to live forward and go forward in their lives with peace and with joy.